Welcome to the CFO Woman Podcast, a show about finances and women. Whether you're a woman in charge of your own household finances or you've experienced a change, such as a divorce or the death of a spouse, that has now required you to take on more financial responsibility, this podcast is for you. Melissa Jasmine, as well as other financial experts, will teach you step by step how to become more efficient in managing your household finances. She's ready to help lead you down the road to financial freedom. Here's your host and founder of the CFO Woman, Melissa Jasmine.
Hey, CFO women. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the CFO Woman Podcast. Today, I'd like to introduce you to our special guest, Barbara Stanny. Barbara, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and I'm super excited to talk to you about your journey with money.
Well, I'm so grateful you're having me. This is great. Thank you.
I'm so excited. Barbara's ultimate mission is to motivate women to become financially empowered. She has been featured in numerous media outlets such as Good Morning America, The View, New York Times, USA Today, and many more. She has written several books such as Prince Charming Isn't Coming, and her latest book is Sacred Success. Did I say that correctly? Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles. Awesome. I'm super excited because one day I'm hoping to be at this level where Barbara is. Now, Barbara, you have achieved many accomplishments. You are super successful and viewed as an expert in the field of finances. The CFO Woman Podcast is all about empowering women, providing hope, in addition to tools and resources. And whenever I bring on a money expert, I always go into their, or in this case, your personal journey with money. There is a quote that says, every expert was once a beginner, and things weren't always this great at one point in your life. Take us back to a time when things weren't all that rosy, when everything just started to be the foundational source of you becoming successful. Because at one point, things weren't all that great. Tell us about that.
Oh, at many points, things weren't all that.
Oh, okay.
Many points. So I grew up wealthy. My father was the R of H&R Block. And the only advice he ever gave me about money was don't worry, which I thought was great advice. And because there was always a man to take care of me. First there was my father, and then there was my husband, who was a stockbroker and a certified financial planner. So he's perfect, right? Well, what I didn't realize until very early in our marriage is that he was a compulsive gambler.
Wow.
And over the course of our 15 years together, here's the insane part, I continued to let him manage the money, even though I knew he was gambling it away, because that's how terrified and intimidated I was by anything to do with money. And then finally, after 15 years, we got a divorce. And I decided after my divorce, money is not my thing. I do not want to deal with money. Well, I have this theory that if you do not deal with your money will deal with you. And it certainly dealt with me. I got tax bills for over $1 million for back taxes my ex didn't pay, for illegal deals he got us in. My signature was on everything because I just signed whatever he told me to sign. And my ex had left the country. I did not have $1 million, not even close to it. I called my father, asked him to lend me money, and he refused. And that... I would like to say that was the moment that I got smart. And I knew I had to get smart. I knew I had 3 daughters. One was just a baby. I was not going to raise those girls on the street. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, Melissa. I didn't know what I was going to do. Because every time I'd look at money, my eyes would glaze over, my brain would fog up, and I would just feel terminally stupid. And then I really believe when you make a commitment, like a down-to-your-toes commitment, the universe revolves to help you reach your goal. I was a journalist writing for the San Francisco Business Times, and I was hired for a freelance project to interview women who were smart with money. And those interviews literally changed my life. I not only got smart enough to start managing my own money, which I've done very well. But I wrote my first book, Prince Charming Isn't Coming, How Women Get Smart About Money. And suddenly I had this whole new career. I was flying all over the country helping women manage money, but I couldn't earn money. So I started interviewing women who made lots of money, and I started making six figures before I even finished writing my next book, Secrets of Six-Figure Women. And then I wrote my third book, Overcoming Under-Earning, and I have been making and managing money very well ever since. And my final book, which you said, which I just came out, is Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles.
Wow, Barbara, that is incredible, because women is viewing you as an expert. And so for you to even say that, your eyes glazed over, like you said, and you just didn't want to deal with money. And your father is the owner of H&R Block. We just assume that, you know what, she knows what she's doing, but we would never, ever think, if you didn't share this with us, that you have gone through such a difficult circumstance.
But and I think that's why I am so effective in my work. Because I didn't pop out of the womb knowing about money. I was trained as a professional. I went through the trenches. And I get it. And what I learned, it's not as much what you do, it's how you think. Because when I shifted my thinking, everything changed. And this has to do with whether you're making more money or managing it wisely. It is really a combination of the outer work of wealth, the inner work of wealth, and the higher work of wealth. The outer being the practical, mechanical stuff, the inner being the psychological, emotional stuff, and the higher work of wealth being the spiritual side.
And this is all coming from personal experience. It's not like, you read books about how, yes, you did that, but then through your personal journey of these circumstances, you have come to the conclusion, this is what it takes to be where I need to be. At one point, you were basically broke. Not just broke, but you were beyond broke. And you need to, what it sounds like, climb out of there, not only just for you, but you had 3 little girls with you. And like you said, there is no way, with moms, there's something about us where we're just like, there is no way our kids are going to go through this. There is no way that I'm going to allow this to happen.
No, Melissa, and you are so right. It's like, I felt so stupid, and I felt so resigned to my fate. But when I would look at my girls, and I would think, is this the model I want to be for them? Mm-hmm. That's what really motivated me to get smart with money.
Wow.
And once I got smart, I thought, okay, this was given me. My higher power gave me this family, gave me this husband, gave me these problems. Now I'm going to turn it into helping others.
That's amazing. And I absolutely love that, because you could easily just go back into a hole and feel so bad for yourself and all the things that went wrong in your life, but you didn't. You actually turned everything around.
I spent a lot of time in that hole.
Really? So, okay, tell us more about that, because I know you are not the only one that has gone through it.
It took me. I would try to. So here I was with $1 million in tax bills. My lawyer got them down significantly, but I had to pretty much deplete my inheritance to pay it off. But I had some real estate left that was putting out money, so that if I watched it, if I was frugal, I could live on that. But I knew if I didn't get smart, there would be another tax bill or worse.
Wow.
And so, I start reading, I start studying, I start going to classes, and I just couldn't get it. I went to an H&R Block tax class. I failed every single question every test. I couldn't get it. I just figured my mind, I was deficient a gene that my father didn't give me. But then when I started really doing the inner work, looking at my attitudes and beliefs about myself and money, when I started going deeper, that's when the veil started lifting. That's when I could see, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm so scared. And of course, having role models like the women I was interviewing helped so much, which is why I am so drawn to doing this work because I want to show women, yes, it's possible. Yes, you could be at the bottom of the barrel. You could have hit bottom so hard that you think your head's going to fall off, and you can rise back up.
That's amazing. I love it. It just reminds me of J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, how she wrote that rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. And I just love how your story is such a reflection of that quote. And it's just amazing how you chose to not allow it to continue being so down in your rock bottom. You've actually climbed out yourself with your daughters as well and by your side. And being a mom myself, I know whenever things get really tough, I mean, just looking at them, it's like, no, I have to keep going and I have to keep trying because there are these little people that are depending on me. And so, and as cliche as it is, it's true. Now, Barbara, you've been through such situations and circumstances, like I've said. In your opinion, out of everything that you mentioned already, what is the biggest money mistake you've ever made?
Ignoring money.
Ignoring money. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I spent 40-some years of my life letting other people take care of me, letting other people take care of money. And even though I knew I wasn't being well handled, I had this mythical, magical belief that I'll be fine. Like, don't worry. And I think the biggest risk we take as women is afraid that we will make a mistake, afraid to face it. And I absolutely believe it doesn't take a lot of time to get smart. It doesn't take a lot of money to create wealth. And it's never, ever too late to start. And I have 3 steps for getting smart or smarter about money. That if you do these steps for 4 months, even less, but 4 months, you will be amazed at the difference. Should I give you the 4 steps?
Please, go ahead.
First step. Every day, read something about money, even if it's just glancing at the headlines of the business section of the newspaper, because so much of getting smart or smarter is just familiarizing yourself with the jargon and the current trends. So every day I would take the finance section of the Wall Street Journal. I mean, I couldn't read that thing. I didn't understand it, but I'd put that section of finances on the kitchen counter and I'd walk by it, and by osmosis, I just pick something up. So every day, read something about money, even if it's just for a minute or two. Every week, have a conversation about money, especially with someone that knows more than you. Now, I'm not saying ask people how much they make, but find people who are smart about money and ask them how they got smart, what they did to learn, what they think is important for you to know, how they're investing. Ask them questions like that. So every day, read. Every week, have a conversation about money. And every month, save. Automatically take a certain amount of money from your paycheck or your checking account and have it automatically deposited in a savings account, which you don't miss, which you don't see. And then when you have a 6 to 8 months of living expenses saved up for emergencies, then you start dollar cost averaging, or you start putting that same money into investing in your retirement and outside of retirement if you can.
Wow. And, I think a lot of women assume that to get stabilized in their financial matters, they have to take very big leaps of action steps, when in fact you have completely broken it down to where we can actually do it. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. I mean, you even said you can just simply glance at it. And in addition, by osmosis, you're able to pick up something. I mean, that's amazing. And CFO woman, as Barbara said, it's not complicated. It's not complex. And I've heard somewhere that a lot of the times money has really nothing to do with money. It's about behaviors and habits. What do you think about that, Barbara?
I absolutely believe that problems with money are never about money. There's always something deeper. Money is a symptom of something deeper.
It's a symptom.
Yes.
Interesting.
Money is, I do a lot of coaching with women. And the presenting problem is money. They come to me. But we're always looking deeper, what's going on underneath. And I believe, and this is what Sacred Success, my latest book, is about, I believe that women's difficulties with money, their problems with money, have nothing to do with money per se, but it is their fear of or ambivalence about power.
Wow.
Or what we believe power to mean. Because men and women view power through very different lenses.
How so?
Men exercise power by asserting control. And to men, wealth and power are the ultimate goal. To women, we exercise power by building relationships. Wealth and power are not the ultimate goal. They are simply a means to an end. And that end, our goal, is to help others. And so I have found when there are 3 levels of financial development. 3 levels. There's survival, stability, and affluence. Survival is not enough. Stability is enough. And affluence is more than enough. Once a woman goes from survival to stability, or wobbly stability to greater stability, once she has enough, she is no longer motivated by money, for the most part. Yeah, we want to make money. It's a desired outcome. But really, what the majority of us really want deep down is to make a difference, is to give back, to help our community and people we love.
Wow.
And that's when I started interviewing women who make millions. That's what I saw. Once a woman is financially secure, she is no longer motivated by money. It's a goal, it's a desire, but it's not what drives her. And so what I believe, what I write in Sacred Success, is sacred success, my definition, means pursuing your soul's purpose, which you're on this planet to do. Pursuing it, your soul's purpose, for your own bliss, because it makes you happy, and to benefit others, while being richly rewarded. And the goal of sacred success is no longer profit. It's a desired outcome. But the goal of sacred success, the ultimate goal, is greatness. And I define greatness as, paraphrasing a quote by Fred Buchner, that place where your deep gladness, doing what you were put on this planet to do because you love it, where your deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. And that is what I believe we are here to do, and be richly rewarded for it.
Wow, CFO woman, if you're not shaking from all that insight and all that wisdom, I think your audio is on mute, because that was amazing. And so, Barbara, we just want to know, in all of your successes and your accomplishment, there must be some mantra, or let me go back. What is one quote that you live by?
Okay, I'll tell you the quote I live by. Do what you fear, because that's how you grow. So every time I get scared, and I get scared a lot. Every time I get scared, I say, oh, goody. Well, I get scared, but then I eventually, oh, goody, because I know that's what's going to take me to the next level. I know my success will only come from leaving my comfort zone. So my quote is, go where you fear, because that's how you grow.
Barbara, can I ask you something? Do you still get scared?
I get scared all the time.
You get scared all the time?
All the time. I stopped speaking to groups for 5 years until my latest book came out, because it terrifies me to get up in front of people. It terrifies me. But I had to get up. I had to sell. I want to sell my book. I love my book. So I want people to know it's out there. So I get up and I speak.
Wow.
I mean, writing my book, Sacred Success, terrifying. It took me 7 years, because I really come out of my spiritual closet. So while I talk about the basics of finance, and I definitely talk about the, investing and all of that and making it simple, I really talk about power. But I also talk about how for so many women, I believe that financial success is not just a practical process, but a spiritual practice. And
spiritual practice.
Yes, and for me, combining my spiritual, kind of bringing the divine into the discussion of the almighty dollar, that turned financial success into far more than just learning about money or having more money. It made it a healing journey, an initiation into my power.
Wow.
It's an act of transformation. Because when you take charge of your money, I swear to you, you're taking charge of your life. And whatever's going on with money, difficulties, is going on in other areas of your life too.
That's amazing. So much insight and so much wisdom. Now, you have talked about your books. Now, and with that, what is one book besides your own that you recommend?
For anyone who wants to learn about investing, really wants to understand the basics of investing. Oh my God, I can't. It just left my it's by Charles Clausen. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon. It was written in 1926 by Clausen, who invented the atlas. And it's a parable, and imagine it's been around since 1926 and it's still selling. It is really a parable on the basics of investing. I mean, I get chills when I just talk about it. I love that book.
That's a wonderful book. I remember when I first started on my journey, I was trying to read that book, and I was thinking, I have no idea what he's talking about. But after doing so many times, and even listening to the audiobook, it just kind of jolts you, and you realize, wait, I do finally understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, now, you currently work for yourself, but there was one point, we're going to shift a little bit. There's one point where you didn't. Now, many of the CFO women, they're the average woman. They wake up, the kids
I've always worked for myself.
Oh, great. Oh, awesome.
Since I graduated college, I've always, I know I had little jobs selling clothes in the store and working at a women's center, but really I've always worked for myself. Oh,
okay. So the average CFO woman out there, you know, they're doing their daily routine, but when they sit down and they do their finances, they always think to themselves, how am I going to make more money? Maybe I should consider doing something on the side. Now, like with many women out there, we face doubts and insecurities about even trying to branch out, possibly starting a business or turning a hobby into something that monetizes. What doubts and insecurities have you faced in your entrepreneurial journey, and how did you overcome them?
I still face doubts and insecurities.
Really?
In all my books, in all my interviews with successful women, I mean, we're talking very successful women who make 6, 7, and 8 figures. I have never, ever known a woman who doesn't have self-doubt, insecurity, and fear.
Wow.
What I realized when I wrote Secrets of Six-Figure Women is that they are very confident. But as we got deeper into the interviews, they all struggle with fear. I can't tell you how many felt like a fraud and afraid others were going to find out. But this was the kind of a defining moment for me. The difference between them and me is they didn't let their fear stop them. They didn't let the self-doubt stop them. They didn't let feeling like a fraud stop them. They did it anyway. And there's what I call the high earning slogan. That every woman, anytime something came to her, she would say, if it's not illegal or immoral, I just say yes. The idea, what I learned is the whole way to overcome under-earning, the whole way to become a higher earner and to keep going up is to be willing to do what you fear, to be willing to go from where it feels comfortable to what feels impossible.
That's scary. That sounds very scary.
Yeah, it's scary, but if you have lots of support, because we women tend to isolate ourselves.
Yes.
You get a lot of support. If you have role models, if you have a community behind you and you have a good team, if you go in business, that support is critical to us. It's critical to let yourself be scared and do it anyway, and as long as you have some good support.
I think with women, you're absolutely right, because we tend to thrive in community and in fellowship, and we just love being in communication and being with one another and just being in a relationship with one another, which is why they stereotypically tease us about going to the bathroom together, where in fact it's just what we do and how we do things.
We women are very relationship oriented. So it's very important because we care what people think. Every woman I ever interviewed has said some form of, there's this little girl inside me that just wants to be liked. But success demands you make tough choices that often have negative impacts on others. And this is where we need to understand one of the things that was very important for me to hear from successful women is the importance of toughening up. Now, toughening up does not mean you need to harden your heart and turn all macho. It means shifting your mindset. So your thought is, I'd rather be respected than liked. I'd rather be respected than liked. And it's important. All these women, they had their what I call little love nest. You know, where they have their besties, their kids, their family, their friends who can love them up when they're feeling like a little girl. But in the world of work, it is, I'd rather be respected than liked.
Wow, that's so true. I can absolutely relate to that myself, and with my close circle of friends, I completely understand. Now, there's a lot of things going on in your world. What projects are you currently working on that you're excited about?
Well, one of the things I have, I'd love to, it's the first Monday of every month. It's called Monthly Money Monday. I do a free call. And go on my website, Barbara Stanny. This call I've been doing for I don't know how many years now. We have created this huge community of women who talk about money. And they ask questions, and plus I have a Facebook page for Money Monday that we have over 700 women that are very actively talking. It's a very robust community talking about women. So I would love to get women to sign up for that, to go on my website and come join me and let's talk about money openly.
And can we find you on barbarastanny.com to be able to access the Facebook page?
Yes. Well, you can go to Facebook to access the Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
But
awesome.
You can learn about my Monday calls, the free calls. If you just give me your email address, I will send you all the information you need.
Wow, and this is a call with you.
Yes. And I have a Sacred Success retreat coming up at the beginning of June. And it is a small retreat, maximum 26 women, where we take 4 days and we really go deep.
Wow.
We go deep to looking for what our purpose is and how we can really monetize that.
That's amazing. And in addition to your retreats and your Money Mondays phone calls, what other services do you offer if someone is interested in working with you?
Well, I do coaching. I do one-on-one coaching. And you can find that on my website. And I also do, twice a year, I do the Sacred Success retreats on the East Coast and the West Coast. Twice a year, I do Overcoming Under-Earning webinars, which I'm right in the middle of one now. It'll probably be in July or August. I'll give another one. And then I have, which is closed now, but I have a course I teach 1 year to wealth, becoming a savvy investor, where we just take it one step at a time. And it's also a very, very active group. And we're learning about investing.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. And I feel that a lot of the CFO women will definitely be heading over to your website, barbarastanny.com. Now, we are about to sign off in just a minute, but before we do, Barbara, what is one piece of advice that you love to give to the chief financial officers of the home, the best way we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye?
The best way to connect is through my website, barbarastanny, STANNY.com. And there's just a lot of juicy, good stuff about money over there too. A lot of resources. So and I'm very accessible. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. And what is one piece of advice that you have for the women out there?
Oh, advice. Go where you fear, because that's how you grow.
So scary.
Whatever you're looking at now that is scaring you, just know that is the path to your power, to your pleasure, to your profit.
CFO women, go where you fear. And like Barbara Stanny has said, go on to barbarastanny.com. As you realize, I mentioned her name once, so that way you don't forget it. So barbarastanny.com is the best way you can connect with her. Barbara, thank you so much for being on the CFO Woman podcast, and we will see you on your website and also on your Facebook page. Thanks again, Barbara.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the CFO Woman podcast. You can subscribe and download more episodes now on iTunes. Be sure to check back on Monday for a new episode. To connect, visit thecfowoman.com. It's time. In fact, it's really time to take control and get smart about your finances. Thanks for listening to the CFO Woman podcast.